Now that you've been working in CRM, Dynamics 365, for a while, you are likely needing some further assistance with creating your own reports. And so this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to teach you today how to create your own personal views to manipulate the data so that you can get the reports that you need at all times whenever you do need it. So if you start from your dashboard here, you can go up to next to sales and drop that down. And we'll go to, in your service block, to cases. And that's typically where we go to submit production request cases. Now you'll be on My Active Cases, but you would likely already have cases here. And so this is a really good place to start. It's really good if you're going to create your own view to start with a view that closely resembles what you need. It doesn't have to be exactly, but that way you can start from there versus if you're starting from a blank slate, you have to build a bit more. So just a little tip. In which case, and since I don't have any cases that I own myself, I'm going to go ahead and choose a different view, active cases for sales, where I have the information that would look more like your screen. Okay, so here's a quick view of that. And so this is a good start for me because something's already built here. And I'll show you kind of what that looks like. But in order to get started with your own view, what you're going to do, once you've navigated to a view that's close by, remember these are the views. You can think of them as reports, but in this particular application, they're called views. So up there in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a little icon that looks like a funnel. If you hover over it, it will tell you it's an advanced find. Okay, so this is where you can query the database for whatever you need. So go ahead and click on that. And when you click on that, it will open up a new window. I'm immediately going to make that window big so that we can see it. All right, and here you go. So you can see down here, there's not much. Basically, the only criteria I have is that the status is active. Now, if you were to have it on and you can see I can switch views from here. So if you didn't start with the right one, that's okay. You can switch. If you were in My Active Cases, you'll see there's another criteria that the owner equals the current user, which would be you. So, but because I don't own one, I'm going to go ahead and go back to this one and just have it start there. So that's a pretty broad query, not too many parameters here. And in your cases, most of the time, you're going to want to add some more criteria. So in this little query box, that's how we're going to do that. So if you click on the Details tab here, that will allow us to choose some more items to filter down the data. So here, we can start with that Select. So you see Select, and when you hover over it, gives you a drop-down option here. And basically, every field that is associated with the add request is here. Also, if you were to look for an associated entity, like maybe the contact or something, those related entities are down here, so you could search off of those as well. But in this case, most of the time, we're looking towards something like an issue. We want to know all of the cases for a particular issue or maybe for a particular book. And even if it's a book, we're going to choose issue. Okay? So for issue, we can use this type. We have several options here to choose from regarding how we want to query. Do we want it to exactly equal or not equal everything but just containing data, so on and so forth. Okay, so if you're looking for a very specific issue, you can actually choose equals. And then there's a lot of options. If you know the exact book volume and issue, of course, you can just type it in like this. Maybe it's something like that, right? Or if you don't know it, you could start with the book number, and then you could click on the, well, actually, don't do that. Click on the little, this little guy over here to choose, and you can find the exact match that you're looking for. Okay, so that's an option. Or let's say that, oops, that wasn't the one I wanted, or, you made a mistake, or you want something else, you can click on the little magnifying glass to select. And so here, if you go in here, and notice it's already in here, so you may have to remove it if that's not the one you want. You could actually just search then. And if you type in your book number there, then you can see it. You can slide this back and forth to see kind of where the one that you're looking for lies. So in this case, I was way off with my numbers. I think I needed 1812, not 1810. So I'm going to choose that one. And and one of the things that I always warn against is if you click on the blue letters, it will take you to that record. So that's not actually what we wanted to do. I'm going to scroll back here now that I know it's that one. I want to just check the box, click select, and click add. That can be annoying sometimes, but it can also be really helpful if you want to double check, is that the right one that I want? So there's that option. And then I always like to check and make sure this is, I got what I wanted. So I like to go over here and click on results. And when I do so, I can see, and like in this case, maybe that wasn't the right one because there's nothing showing up here. So if I want to go back and double check, I can go over here and click Advanced Find again. Maybe I go back and I find a different one that I know is the correct one. So perhaps I go back here and double check. And I think I was going off budgeted. That's part of the problem because I know we've changed some things. So it looks like this 11 was the correct one after all. So I'm going to remove 12, go back to 11 and select, add, and then let's see if that gives us some results. There you go. So we've got some results there. Looking good. Actually, we've got a lot approved there. So that's pretty awesome. Almost done with that book. But let's say that, if I'm going to export this or, use this, maybe I don't want all this data, or maybe I want additional data here, okay? And in which case I may want to add different columns. You notice not every column that are put in the cases are in there. So again, I would go back over here to these Advanced Find. I click on Advanced Find. And here's where in this View section, I can choose what columns I want to add. So if I click Edit Columns, here's where I can add or subtract. So let's say the case number, it means nothing to you, you don't care. So I could go in there and if I click on it, I can click Remove. And now it will double check, do you really want to? Yes. And it's gone. Now don't worry if you're worried, I'm changing the view for everyone. That's not the case. You can only edit views for yourself. The public views will remain the same. So if you're worried at all about that. So you could continue to remove whatever you want, but let's say you want to add. So over here, you can add columns. And then here's all the ones that are not currently included. So if let's say that you wanted to know what kind, all the ad types, for instance, you could choose that. And if I check them, and I can check more than one, right? I could also check, maybe I want to check let's see, maybe I want to do the contact, or let's see, what would I want in here? Maybe I want to know what graphic designer what used in this. So I can click OK. And then those will add them at the end, but let's say I wanted that to be in a different spot. I could always highlight that and I could move it. So maybe I want it, towards the front for some reason. Okay, I could put that there. And you could do that with all of them. So we'll click OK, and then you'll have your results there. You can see now that case number is gone, and now you can see the ad type is here. So there's a lot there. Now, finally, I know one scenario that you all have is I have more than one book, and I want to create views for just book specific. I don't need to know, I don't want it to be by issue because it's going to change every month, but I do want to know by book. So we would still keep the issue, but instead of equals this time, we'll click the down arrow and we'll just choose contains. And that's where I'm going to put in my book number. So I'm just going to do contains, and then that way it will always choose whatever are the active issues that contain that number. Okay, and then again, I have my results here. So that's a quick way, once you get familiar with it, that you can create your own views as you need to.